My name is Masoud Kamalahmadi. I'm an assistant professor at University of Miami. This is a joint work with Chuping Yu from Georgetown University and Yongpin Zhou from University of Washington. Customer satisfaction surveys are increasingly used in many service settings such as restaurants to evaluate workers' performance. A low customer score can lead to fewer working hours, less prime shifts, and even termination of contracts. However, customers' scores are the result of their subjective assessments, which can be biased based on their beliefs and past experiences. Recent studies have documented biases against women and racial minorities in customer ratings of college professors, physicians, and investment advisors. However, these are occupations dominated by white men. Less is known about customer discrimination in female-dominated and racially diverse occupations. That's why we focus on the restaurant server occupation, which is both female-dominated and racially diverse. Despite this diversity, women and racial minorities are largely concentrated in lower status restaurants, whereas in higher status fine dining establishments, most of the servers are white men. That's why it is important to understand if there are biases against servers of certain race or gender in customer scores. We use 1.5 million transactions and 260,000 customer surveys from a casual dining restaurant chain in the United States. We have detailed information about each transaction, such as the location, the timing, the sales, items ordered, service time, and most importantly, the server of the transaction. For each server, we have their first and last name, which we use to predict the race and gender using two machine learning algorithms. In addition, we control for the server's abilities, tenure, workload, work schedule, and other variables to account for differences in servers' skills and work environment. One important feature of our data is that customers are assigned to servers in a round-robin fashion, which ensures that customers' unobservable characteristics do not bias our estimates. The surveys in our setting are collected using these tabletop tablets. The customer pay for the service using these tablets, and after the payment, they are asked to fill out the survey. The survey has several questions. We focus on the last question, which asks customer from 0 to 10 how likely they are to recommend this service to others. Overall, we find that even in this female-dominated and racially diverse occupation, women and racial minorities receive between 1 to 1.3% lower scores than white men. And then this raises a question: what is the mechanism of discrimination? To explore the mechanisms, we use the two leading theories in economics and sociology. The statistical discrimination theory argues that since customers have limited information about their servers, they try to infer their abilities from the statistical information on their race or gender group, and this group-level information may bias the assessment of individual workers. The status-based discrimination, on the other hand, argues that there are widely held beliefs in the society that associate higher status to whites and men over minorities and women, and customers tend to assume that higher status workers are also more competent and evaluate their performance more favorably. To distinguish between these theories, we consider scenarios where customers have more information about their servers, for example, if the server is a higher ability, or if the customer is a frequent customer. Overall, we find that having more information about servers will eliminate racial biases, which is consistent with statistical discrimination, but it may actually reinforce gender biases. For example, we find larger gender gap in the scores of high ability servers, which is consistent with a status-based discrimination theory, which argues that a good performance by a lower status actor contradicts expectation, and as a result, customers scrutinize it more and tend to attribute it to luck, whereas the same performance for a high status worker is attributed to their ability and is rewarded accordingly. These findings have significant implications. At the policy level, currently there are policies that protect workers against employer-based discrimination, but they do little about customer discrimination. Given that more firms are outsourcing worker evaluation to customers, policymakers should recognize the role of customers in perpetuating workplace inequalities. At the restaurant level, restaurant managers should take steps to mitigate these biases. We recommend including additional information about the servers in the surveys to mitigate racial biases. similar to Uber or Lyft, that provide information such as the name, the photo, and the tenure of the driver. To mitigate gender biases, we advocate for more diverse workforce across all segments of the restaurant industry, especially the fine dining segment where women and minorities are underrepresented. This can be achieved by incorporating measures of workforce diversity in restaurant rankings, so the highest status restaurants are encouraged to diversify their workforce. Thank you so much. We hope that with this work we can raise awareness about workplace inequalities.